Hi, and welcome to another 28 Days to New You recording. And today, with my pineapple friend, Mel Wakeman from Wakeman Nutrition, we're going to talk about why you eat the way you do. And actually, it's quite interesting that we've both decided that we're doing things to make ourselves look a little bit more unique and individual. So I don't normally have delicious blue hair, and Mel doesn't normally look like a pineapple. But the point of this is, and what we want to demonstrate and highlight, is that the way that you eat is absolutely, 100% about you and what is right for your body. So in our standard tradition, I'm going to tell you a little bit of a story about me and why I eat the way that I do. I'm going to start in 2016. I thought I was eating well. And I'd just taken out some private medical insurance, and I paid to have a well woman test. I thought, well, I've got this insurance, there's nothing wrong with me, but rather than use the insurance and get told off and have some restrictions on it, what I'll do is I'll go and get a well woman test, and if there's anything going on, I'll just sort it out. It'll be dead easy. So I do all this series of tests, and it comes back and says I have an overactive thyroid, and my thyroid stimulating hormone, which is quite important, was practically zero. And the doctor looked at me and asked me, was I sleeping? Yes, perfectly well, thank you. Did I have a low energy? No. I might have been a bit hyperactive, but then I've always had lots of energy. So nothing seemed out of the way. But of course, when you see these results, all of a sudden you go, ooh, that's a little bit dangerous. I need to do something about it. So I thought I had a good diet. So I let that mull through my brain for a couple of days. And in typical me style, I went off to do some research. And I talked to a friend who had Graves' disease. And she said, oh, there's some circumstantial evidence that gluten is a factor. And I thought, you've got to be joking. I'm not giving up crusty bread. No, it's the staple of life. It's the staple of the universe. I can't possibly give up gluten. However, I thought, do you know what? What I need to do is I need to do a little bit of research, and anything that I come up with, I'll experiment. So for 6 weeks, so my doctor actually wanted me to go to endocrinologist, and I refused. I said, no, I'll be back in 6 weeks. It'll be cured. He's like, I think you're loca. So for 6 weeks, I cut out gluten. I decided to cut out nightshades. And what was absolutely incredible, the gluten, I don't think I really noticed until I had the next blood test. But what happened with cutting out the nightshades, my fingers used to click all the time and my hands used to hurt, and I always had a sore knee. It all went away, and I'm like, ooh, this is curious. So I went and did some research and discovered that, if you've got arthritis, you shouldn't be eating nightshades, blah, blah, blah. So I was like, cool. But I did a whole load of changes. Went back 6 weeks later, all my blood results, 100% perfect. And my overactive thyroid issue that never, ever, ever returned. So I've remained gluten-free. So I don't know if it is the gluten. I don't know if it's the nightshade. All I know is now, if I eat gluten, now I'm a writer. If I eat gluten, my hands go like this. I can't actually move them. They are, and literally, I can remember going for a pizza one night, and they're supposed to have given me gluten-free pizza. I ate 2 slices, and I thought, there's something not right. And my hands started to hurt. I could hardly drive home. My hands hurt so much. Just eating gluten. So I know that that's not a good thing to eat. So I had the overactive thyroid. Then when my spine fractured, I did loads of changes again. I looked at how do you build good bone? And I had lots of other things going on. I spent all my life researching things. I had, for example, I'm not going to tell you my whole life history, but I had high prolactin. So I went off to research when you have high prolactin, you have low dopamine. So I thought, well, that's easy. Just eat lots of food that build the dopamine up. But then, of course, you've got to think about the overactive thyroid. I'm going, oh, I can't eat that because that, according to reports, and I do read medical research as opposed to other kinds of blogs. And I'm reading all this stuff and I go, oh, I can't take that because that piece of research, and what am I going to do? So it was massively confusing. But I worked it all out. I decided I wasn't going to take supplements for that particular thing. I was going to eat various bits and pieces. And one of the things that I discovered with high prolactin is you need to slow it down, meditate. So apparently it's my osteopath said he sees a lot of women who have higher prolactin. That's because they're a little bit stressed. And I thought, stress? Well, you would be if you got a fractured back. It's like, so every time I've discovered something, Mel, I've gone off and done this mad research, but I have to keep going, will that affect that? Will that affect that? Is that good for my bones? Yeah. So I've ended up with, I have ended up with what my diet is great. So, everything, I buy everything fresh, everything's natural. I cook dinner every night. I make my own healthy cake. If I do go off the rails and eat something that's not right, I can tell straight away my energy's depleted, I'm ratty, my hands hurt. I very rarely get a bloated stomach anymore. But sometimes perhaps if I've eaten now and I've said I'm gluten-free and perhaps they've given me, I don't know, something's cross-contaminated, I might get something. But I eat the way that I eat because of all these things that have gone on. But what I've ended up with is I have a really, really rich diet. Now, if you take my mum, my mum's quite unwell at the moment, and she has, she's 81. She has a very, very badly fractured spine. She decided to take the osteoporosis drugs. She has some other things going on, and lots of things kind of affect her. So, I've helped to go gluten-free. I've helped to cut her Zantac down that she's been doing for like 20-something years to a little bit. And she tries to eat healthily, and some of these things react on her. She gets like a bloated stomach. She gets other digestive issues. And so she's not very well at the moment. And I'm sitting there and I'm thinking, she's 81. She's trying to do all this stuff. She loves jacket potatoes with cheese and tuna and things like that. And I said to her the other day, do you know what, Mum? Why don't you just eat what you want? Why don't you just eat what you want? And we'll find some other ways to get the nutrition into your body. Just enjoy your food.
Yeah.
So long story short, I eat the way I eat because of all these things, and they keep my body balanced. They keep me well, maintains my energy. And I know I feel great with my diet. So it's like there's my.
And now look at your hair.
I know. It's as a result of my diet. Let's hide my real hair. As a result of my diet, my hair's gone blue and curly.
You see, that could be a social media post, and people might actually believe you with the amount of nonsense that's out there. Shocker. It's the blue hair diet, Dale.
Well, I blame this on the blue carrots and the purple sprouting broccoli. I can't think why the blueberries. I've just been on I've just been on a big blueberry fix. Oh my goodness me, I can't get enough blueberries in my body.
I've got this vision, like, is it like Charlie in the Chocolate Factory? Is it Victoria Salt that turns into, no, is it?
I don't know.
What's the name of the girl that turns into a big blueberry and she like explodes?
I don't know. That'd be me. I'm in blue.
It's all right, I'm a pineapple.
Pineapples are lovely. They're enzymatic.
They are. They are. They can be prickly on the outside. I have known to be prickly if I haven't eaten. But generally sweet-natured.
Very much so, yes. That's been my experience of you. So, Mrs. Pineapple, when it comes to advice for somebody who wants to create a unique diet, follow the crowd, try all these different diets, or find something that works for you. And how do they do it?
It's not easy. I think the temptation to follow the crowd is huge. Because it's that's what everybody else does. So we have this sort of often subconscious need to be the same and doing things that other people are doing. And it's kind of, in theory, it's easier, isn't it? Because when you follow the crowd and you do these generic one size fits all, you know. And let's face it, when we look out there, you know, the anti-cancer diet, the anti-arthritis diet, the anti-diabetes diet, the anti-osteoporosis diet, they all have these little labels on them. They don't exist. They really don't exist, because the right diet is the one that works for you, that is hugely personal and unique to you, because there is no one else like you, especially not Dale with blue hair.
I know.
So the difficulty is, of course, in today's life, where we kind of want things yesterday and we want it now. We want to sort these things out, and whether that's feeling better, which is completely understandable, and having more energy. Unfortunately, do you know what? It's often not easy, because the way to find the diet that works for you is basically through trial and error.
So do you think, Mel, that the reason, you see, we live such busy lives, don't we? You know, it's like, you know, the alarm wakes you up, you get up, you've got to get showered, you know, fix the kids' food, make yourself some lunch, maybe drive to work, then you're in work, it's very stressful, you drive home, you've got to put dinner on the table, and it's almost like there's no time for you to think about what nourishes you. I mean, outside of food, but, you know, if we're talking about diet, there's no time to think about what nourishes you. And sometimes perhaps it's just easy for someone to go, oh, it's Tuesday, it's 12 o'clock, I've got to eat a handful of blueberries. Oh, it's this time and I'm on whatever diet, that means I've got to eat, I don't know, 10 kilos of chicken. I mean, do you think people do it because you know, there's all this busyness going on, and they just think, do you know what, just tell me what to eat?
Yeah, absolutely. And I get that, I really do, because I've been in it, and when you're in it, you can't really see the wood for the trees either. And it's just like, you know, just the idea of just following something that's simple is great. And I get this a lot. I get requests from lots of people and clients that say to me, can you just write me a plan? Just tell me what to do and I'll do it. And I have to go, yeah, I know. And that's the problem. Because if you just do it and don't think, then you're not going to learn anything from that. And so that's kind of why I don't offer, as it were, to do or create very prescriptive eating plans, because it's easier not to think. It's easier not to try and work out the core of the issues and the causes, and it's easier just to put the sticking plaster on, isn't it? Because that means that we can get on with life and keep doing all these things that we feel pressured to do.
I was just going to say, what popped into my mind then is, I know years ago, I can't remember the name of the diet, we have like red and green days. And, you know, of course, I think that, I don't know if they do it, if that's around anymore, but that's Slimming World. Yeah. So you have red and green days, and and there's another diet where people get points. But then I have queued up with those people doing those things, and all I can remember hearing is people going, oh, I've been really naughty. And it's like, how can you be naughty? Oh, I had a green day and ate red things, or I've done something with, I can't remember half of it, done something with my points, or I've saved all my points up, so I haven't eaten all week, so I can go out and have curry and, you know, kebab and whatever else, and 10 pints of cider, and then I can just go back to not eating in the week. And it seems, we've all been there, utterly destructive. Like destroying your body. It's
the plans that are out there, this idea of, you know, having good days, bad days, cheat meals, you know, free foods. What dieting and the diet mentality and diet culture has brought us is a whole bag load of rules, which actually do the complete opposite of what we want to do and achieve. So what diets do and diet culture means that it disconnects us from our body. So when we are leading these very busy lives, we actually detach from our body. We have no idea whether we're hungry or not. We have no idea what it is that our body's actually wanting or needing. And because of that, we lose our love of food. We become disconnected so much from food because we see it just as a fuel. It's serving a purpose so that we can go on to do the next thing. That, do you know what? I meet lots of women that say, well, I don't even know what I like. I don't like food anymore. I've had a couple of occasions where people have said to me, do you know what? Eating's almost an inconvenience. They have fallen out of love and disconnected with food so much that it's a hassle to eat and nourish our body.
That's so shocking.
Yeah, but that's
shocking.
what society and living life at 50 million miles an hour kind of does to us.
So, you know, mine has been through trial and error and through, you know, having blood tests and seeing what's going on. And, you know, and I always say this, I have this one question: do I love myself enough to do whatever it takes to bring that balance back? And it's really only through working with you that I actually realized how much I love food and I love preparing it and making it. Because when I found myself talking to you and I go, oh, what I'm going to have tonight is, and I hadn't actually, you know, recognized how much I do enjoy it, because I think I definitely did. It literally was fuel. You just made something, put it on the table, you ate it, and then you carried on. So I think for me, necessity was the mother of invention. I had to do it, otherwise I'd be very unwell. But most people walking around don't realize that they're unwell. They won't have been to the doctors. They won't have had any blood tests. And often maybe they have been to the doctors and there's not been any good advice, or they don't want to listen, or like you say, you know, life is too busy. What, say, like 3 really simple, or even one really, really simple thing that somebody could do that just could reconnect them to their body and make just a simple choice, a simple change?
One thing: stop, pause, breathe. I think I'm running a group program at the moment, and actually what we're doing in this last couple of weeks has been to strengthen our mind-body connection. Because what society does is it detaches it. So that's where we fall deaf to what our body is trying to say. And so in order to try and strengthen that, we have to become more self-aware.
Yeah. And
to do that, we have to kind of switch off all this background noise and allow ourselves to listen to our body. So what I'd suggest is something really simple, which actually sounds simple but isn't, is to stop and eat.
I like that.
Stop and sit down. Not stand in the kitchen eating your breakfast cereal, have a few mouthfuls and then go and do something else. Not sit at your desk and eat your lunch while you're still doing emails. And ideally, and not every day, but in the evening time, you could just sit at the table, or not sit in front of the TV with your dinner on your tray. I do that as well. There's times where you just want to do that. But to allow yourself to focus on food, to kind of respect that food for what it is, and allow yourself to connect with it. Because when we look at the factors that, you know, I suppose influence or affect the things that we eat, why do we eat the things that we do? Most of that is down to biology. In one way or another, we eat the things we do based on the taste of things. You know, yes, we eat with our eyes, but if we allow all our senses to come into play, so taste, smell, aromas, textures, the sound of food when we're eating, it's when we experience that makes us go, do you know what? I liked that flavour. I liked that combination of textures or that smell. It really, it lifted me. I enjoyed that meal. Through more enjoyment, that's when you get to the point where you go, well, that was nice. I'm quite satisfied. It's all pressing the satisfaction button. If we are running life at, say, 100 miles an hour and don't allow our body to feel nourished, then you're always going to be on the lookout for the next thing. So that is simple in principle, but actually probably not in practice today.
I had as you were saying about the stop, I had a picture of the supermarket aisle with all the vegetables in, and how often do we actually stop and go, look at all those colours and imagine what they taste like? Just honestly, as you were saying it, I thought I could see myself several years ago just whizzing around going, we'll have some of them, but never stopping to just look at it and go, what would I like to put in my body?
Yeah.
That's wow.
And most people don't know that. They don't know what they want or need. And when when we're looking at, improving our health, and this might be, managing current or chronic health conditions. You know what? Sometimes the doctors don't have the answers.
No, they don't.
Sometimes the blood tests and all those tests and things that we do and take, they don't tell us what we want to know or don't tell us what we need to know. So we've kind of got to work that out for ourselves. So that's where, I know you have spent a huge amount of energy and time into getting where you are now. It's a long process, isn't it? And you've taken responsibility for that, and you've got the skill to kind of, research and implement and reflect and evaluate and all those sorts of things. But you've taken that time to go hunting for the clues and look at the bigger picture.
It's funny, Mel. I had a little bit of an emotional upset recently, and as you know, I use our 28 days journal to write things down, and that's, even though we're delivering the program, that for me has really opened my mind up. And I was laughing. I'd had this little bit of an emotional upset, and so I knew that. Well, I knew my neighbours have got chocolate, Haribos, and all sorts of things, right? And because I was upset, I wanted to go around their house and just get their box of chocolates and go like that and shove it in my gob and get all the Haribos and eat them. And then I thought, actually, it's not a good idea, because I do know that I'll be very, very ill eating all that sugar. I so wanted it. So I thought, what is it that I really need?
Yeah.
And so what I did is went to the freezer. I got out something that I'd previously made, so like a casserole. And I'd got some cauliflower greens. I knew I needed a bitter, even though I wanted the sweeties, I knew I needed a bitter flavour. And I looked at all these other vegetables, and it's like, I need parsnips, I need that, and I need my casserole. And I got a bit of banana bread with those delicious blueberries that turn my hair blue. And I made a dessert with a whole load of other things. And it calmed my system. I needed calming. I didn't need all this, the sweetie stuff was like, I don't know, some like little gremlin inside of me going, go around Kath's house and eat all her sweeties. It's like, no. So I had the calming food, but before I made it, and I have not done this in years, right? I must have opened the fridge 3 or 4 times, and it was like, the answer to how I feel is inside the fridge. And I was writing in my journal, and I thought, why did I go to the fridge? The answers, but I could see I was writing all my stuff up, and I was going, no, the answer's not in the fridge. Where's the answer? Open the fridge.
But that's what we do, though, isn't it? We look for answers in the fridge, in the cupboards, in the drawers, because all of our food choices are emotional. They all are. And so there are going to be times where you just think, sod it, I'm having it. And you prepare to take the consequences. But when we bring in sort of the idea of emotional eating, food often acts as a crutch. It's a replacement for something physical or non-physical. And so, finding the clues that help us identify what it is that we're really missing, that's how you find that level of contentment, that inner peace.
So I guess I unconsciously stopped, because I did. I was standing in the kitchen going, go to Kath's house, go to Kath's. No. What is it you really need? And it's like, I need sweeties. No, you don't. What do you really need? And because I'd felt so upset, the answer came, how about you just calm, feel soothed? And I eat I do eat at the table. I put, laid my food out, I ate at the table, and it was just calm descended. So
and I think in terms of sort of finding that conclusion in terms of what your body needs at the time, again, you just pause, didn't you? Your thoughts. And I think many of us can feel really uncomfortable with the thoughts that come into our head, because we're kind of like, we're overwhelmed with them. Are we supposed to solve them? We judge them. That's the power of journaling, isn't it? In terms of getting that out of your head and then again finding the solutions.
And it's in the quiet spaces, because my irrational brain was going mental, but it was and that's the same for everybody. If you just stop and witness. I mean, if you are one of those people who go, there's nothing to eat, what the answer to my life solution, like Narnia, is in the fridge somewhere. It's not, I'm telling you, it's not. So it's that. So I think that piece of advice you gave, stop, is the best advice. So let's stop there, talking about stop. Mel and I have a program called 28 Days to a New You. And we go through helping you to reset, revitalize, and to re-nourish yourself through 4 weeks of our program. So we look at your mindset, which is obviously, we've talked a lot about that today. Look at your mindset. We look at how you hydrate your body, but also your life. We look at nourishing you and what nourishes you. And the final one, which is always my favorite, is what you need to get out of your life or your food choices to be able to bring some balance back to your life. So if you would like to join us, then the link will be posted below the video, and we look forward to welcoming you on our program.
It's great.
Thank you for listening.